Anyway, let's start. We ready? You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Absolutely.
Misty, welcome to the Conquering Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Do you want to introduce yourself? Should we start there? Do you want to introduce yourself and the business? Go for it.
Yeah.
Nice big open question.
Yeah. So, I'm Misty Nickles. I am the managing partner of Griffin Chartered Accountants. We have been going for 10 years. This is our 10-year anniversary. We work with a mixture of about, I'd say probably 45% of our business is the not-for-profit sector, charities and academy schools, and then 55% is owner-managed businesses, which is the part of the business that I primarily focus in. So working with business owners, helping them to do things more tax efficiently, save them money, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So that the first side of like the charities and the non-for-profits, was there a reason why you went into that sort of work? Is that quite typical for an accountancy firm?
No, it's not. No. They're quite specialist areas, both of them. They're normally, particularly the academies, is normally done by very large firms. Right. Partly it's my previous experience. Academies have only been around since I think it was about 2010, and I've been involved straight from the start doing academy audits. My background is before Griffin is more in very much larger organisations, audit clients. And all academies need audits, and they have a very specific way of reporting. And there's not that many accountancy firms that work with academy schools. So it's quite a good niche sector, and one that we've kind of become known locally for, being experts in. And the charities, the kind of the same applies. I've just done a lot of it in the past, and the audit threshold for charities is quite a lot lower. Any charity over £1 million needs an audit, £1 million turnover, whereas for a company, it's much higher. So you get a lot more audit-related work out of the charity sector.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that. With like is it like a different type of like accounting, or is it fairly similar? Just the
accounts look
lower
quite different and much bigger. There's a lot more disclosure because charities need to be very transparent, and the same with academy schools, because it's public money or it's money that people have donated in the case of charity. So they need to be a lot more transparent about what money they've had come in from what sources and what they spent it on. So they tend to have bigger accounts with a lot more disclosures. So they're more technically complicated for our team to prepare than a company set of accounts. It's quite nice if I've been looking at academies for a while and then I suddenly pick up a company set of accounts. Well, this is nice. It's only a few pages.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, what's more fun? Well, what's easier? Do you prefer the business side of things, the private, or the?
I think I quite like the business side more, which is where I've specialised. So Laura joined the business about 2.5 years ago as a partner, and her background is very much specialist in charities and academy schools. So she's now leading that side of the business, and I'm focusing more on the owner managed businesses. I think partly because I'm a owner manager myself, so I've started up my own business, and I know all the challenge when my clients are talking to me about things going on in business. I've been there and I can relate to it and understand how they're feeling about things. So the relationship with my clients becomes more than just, here's your year-end accounts. It sometimes feels like a counselling session when we're in a meeting. But also, I think with being a business owner myself, you do appreciate the importance of proactive help because you don't know what you don't know. And also how much it means if you can actually find a way to save a bit of tax. So I do a lot of what we call tax planning, which it's all completely, there's nothing dodgy about it. It's all completely within the rules in terms of the tax planning we do, but sometimes you can set things up in a more tax efficient way from the start. And with a business owner, you're not just thinking around the company's tax, you're also thinking about their personal tax, because to them it's all just tax they have to pay. And so you kind of look at it all together and try and do things in the best way for them.
Yeah, and I suppose you are an extension of their company in a way, aren't you? In terms of not just their accounts, but you can
have such an open book, don't you? You see, everything.
Yeah, you become their sort of trusted advisor. And for some of our clients, we do just do their year-end accounts and tax returns. But then for some of them as well, we're their full outsourced finance team. So rather than having someone in-house that does all their, normal bookkeeping and VAT returns and so on, they outsource that to us. So we've got an outsourced finance team that do all of the work, finance related, invoicing, purchase invoices, reconciling everything for our clients. And those clients we become very closely involved with. We run their payroll and everything. So you really do become an extension of their business.
Yeah. And I bet you've got real care and interest for those businesses as well, more than what an accountancy firm might usually have.
Definitely,
if you're just doing
because you're closer to it. You're involved with it on a daily basis. So, and you're meeting with the business owner more regularly because they're going to want management accounts partway through the year to kind of see how things are going, and you talk through how the business is going, areas that they might be able to streamline things to make it more profitable, or you talk about their plans for the future and new areas they're looking to expand in and all that sort of stuff. So you do get, and you also get to know them as an individual, because I say with all the tax planning, you're also you're not just thinking about that individual. Often there's might be your husband or a wife, and they might be thinking about their children as they get older, getting involved in the business and ultimately passing it down. So you do end up getting quite involved in quite a
the
lot.
whole wider circle. Yeah. How much of your business is like just doing like the accounts opposed to a lot of the advisory stuff?
Probably with the academies and the charities, it tends to be more of a compliance process because they're not really paying tax and that sort of stuff. But the owner managed businesses, most of them we get involved to an extent.
Yeah.
Particularly less so if they're loss making because they're not paying tax anyway. So there's less that we can do for them. Yeah. But definitely, any businesses that are operating, trading, making
Just
money, there's stuff that you can do. And I think people don't realise that actually if you pay an accountant to do these things, to get them involved, because particularly if they're doing the outsourced finance, I essentially become their finance director. And then you get a whole team. So because you then get like a manager, your finance manager, you get your, finance assistants all coming from Griffin. Whereas for the same money, you'd only get a part-time sort of part qualified person working for you if you didn't outsource. So like I say, if you're doing this role as they're like almost pretty much finance director, meeting with often some clients, we'll meet with them quarterly, look through how the results are going, think about budgeting for next year and all this sort of stuff.
The whole advisory side of things, that must be quite fun, mustn't it?
Yeah.
Because like, being a business owner myself and finding out the things that you can do to save money, like you're right, like most people just want to save tax and not pay as much tax, don't they? And obviously want to have more profit and have more money in the business. Like that's really good fun. And there must be loads of things that is always like changing and evolving for you to be able to offer these things.
There's lots of things business owners can do to bring their tax bill down a bit, and people just aren't aware because it's, to us, sometimes you think you forget to mention things, you think, oh, that's obvious, but actually it's obvious to us because we're accountants. That business owner is good or whatever they do in terms of running their business, they don't know about tax legislation. So there's often a lot of things you can do, and people look really, when a client comes to us, a new client from elsewhere, they're often, they think you're some sort of wizard that you've come up with all these things to help them save money. But I think the thing that excites me as well is when a client has an idea to do something big in their business, and I can help them structure it in the best way that early on that can then result in the best outcome for them longer term. But sometimes it's a bit of a puzzle. You're thinking, I need to achieve this. How can I structure it? And I'll be at home, like driving along or, having a cup of tea at home and be thinking, there must be a way I can do this better. And thinking, thinking outside the box of how you can do it, but obviously always within still the rules. And what's allowed.
I don't want to answer this question for you, but I'm thinking like if I was an accountant, like that would be the most fun for me. Like that would be the best part, like actually a lot of problem solving. Because I think a lot of people think accountancy firms is just, doing the numbers for a business rather than it being like advisory.
Yeah.
Like if I was like trying to build an accountancy firm, I would just go full like hammer on like the whole advisory thing, what we can do for you, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So then my question is, what do you enjoy the most? Like what is the most fun part of it for you?
Working with the business owners and helping them. And probably not even just on the accountancy and the tax, just talking to them about their business, like understanding being involved in their business. I find business in general quite interesting. I enjoy running my own business. And I say I will chat and I can share my experience with them and they share their experience with me, and it can work, really well.
What are the top things, maybe putting you on the spot, that like a business owner can do to save themselves tax from a personal point of view?
If they're a business owner, then you're looking at how you draw money out of the business, drawing out in the most tax efficient way. So the obvious one is getting the right split between salary and dividends. Also thinking about pension contributions, because for 10 grand you put into your pension out of your business, you've saved 25% tax on corp tax. So suddenly it's only cost you 7.5 grand to get 10 grand into your pension scheme. But that only works if you've got excess cash available that you don't need in your business or need to take out to live personally. There's also lots that can be done with things like company cars, electric cars, very tax efficient. Lots of different things.
Those things. That's
there
great.
is.
What about like from a business point of view rather than a business owner?
A business point of view, well, again, putting into the owner's pension reduces your tax bill. You can think about things like planning in terms of acquiring equipment, what we call fixed assets, because depending when you buy them, you might get the tax relief on that earlier or later. Depending on what you've got going on, if you've got multiple companies, we'll often do what we call a group reorganization, where you put them into a group with a holding company and subsidiaries. And that can be really tax efficient because you can move things around the group very freely. And also, if you do have sort of your core business and then you start up in a new venture, a new startup might be loss making to start with. So you can do what you call group relief. I'll get you a bit techie here, but you can give your losses to your profit making company.
Nice.
So your profit making company is not paying as much tax.
Yeah. See, like, you've just said a couple of things there. I bet so many people don't know little bits and bobs like this.
I was having to really concentrate on your words. Did you see my eyes? I was like,
we love the techie stuff. Like, that's what we want, isn't it?
Entrepreneurs tend to be the type of people, business owners, that come up with a new idea and they want to try something else.
Yeah.
And this is where you think, okay, I've got my established thing, which is paying a load of tax because it's now profitable. But I'm going to start up this new thing and that's making loss. I don't want to be paying loads of tax over here and have all these losses over here.
I bet there are so many like business owners that own and run like small, medium, probably like even large size businesses that are maybe like stuck with accountants, say, that just do their accounts, but they just don't get any advice and they don't have like an accountant there saying, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Okay, you might have to pay a little bit more for that sort of stuff, but like the amount you're saving for like the paying that sort of stuff, I bet there are loads of business owners out there that don't know that there are accountants out there that do this sort of stuff as well. Do you find that when people come to you?
Yeah, that's the main reason people come to us. They come to us, they often say, it's not that I'm really unhappy. They do a job, they do my year-end accounts. I might see them once a year or sometimes I don't. But by the time I see them, it's to go through the accounts, at which case it's too late to do anything.
And it's never an enjoyable experience, that, is it, really? But like if you're there advising, that's a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, and I think, the difference with us, and okay, this is, all part of why I started up Griffin in the first place, is traditionally in our industry, it's quite old-fashioned. It's quite you imagine the accountant being a middle-aged man in a pinstripe suit,
like that, doesn't it?
And they often don't communicate very well, can be quite techie. I almost went techie earlier myself. So I think a lot of it is trying to be relatable, so you can talk to your client in a way that they can understand and also understand what their needs are. A lot of what we've done, they don't understand and they don't care. It's picking out the bits that they are going to be interested in.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people who come to us because they want that proactive bit, that proactive advice, and also people they feel comfortable coming to. So a number of people say, oh, I'm scared to ask my accountant because like they might think I'm stupid or something. Whereas, I think the team that we've built, everybody is very approachable, very easygoing, and very happy to, there isn't a stupid question from a client. We understand you're not accountants.
Yeah, and you've got to have that trust and the proactiveness on your side, because money arguably is the most important thing, isn't it, to
Yeah.
any business owner? So, and it's what they value the most.
Mhm.
And I suppose I'm not a business owner, but I suppose it can be quite maybe scary to go to somebody and say, like, this is what I've been doing for however
Yeah.
long. Is it right? Is it not? And then kind of get told otherwise maybe is a little bit, don't know, scary.
Because they worry that they should know.
Yeah.
But why should you know? Because it's not
Mm.
your industry.
Mm.
You know, I don't know a lot about the different industries that my clients are in because that's not my area of expertise.
You know the numbers.
So why should they know mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point.
Well, let's throw it back to the start of your journey then.
Mm-hmm.
Misty, where is the start of your journey, would you say?
In terms of Griffin or previous to Griffin?
Well, no, yeah, before that, I reckon. Yeah, just accountancy in general. How did it all start for you? Why did you get into it?
Kind of by accident at the start. So I did psychology at university,
Nice.
which is a bit different. Picked the course partly because it was only 6 hours a week. And
Nice.
I think I mentioned at Boost when I was at university, it was the .com boom, which a lot of people say, what was that? It was the period of time after the internet was invented, when all the big tech companies, e-commerce, all of that became a thing and the economy was really strong. So it didn't really matter what you did your degree in. Big organizations just needed grads in volume. So I thought, well, I'll do this. It's interesting. It's only 6 days a week. That works really nicely. And it allowed me actually to work full time while I was doing my degree.
Oh, wow.
That's mental, isn't it?
So I worked full time at Clark's shoe shop, which
Nice.
I'd
In
already
Exeter?
worked. No, so I'd worked at Clark's in Exeter since I was 14 and weekends and school holidays. And then when I went to university, I went to the Birmingham branch, which is in the centre of Birmingham because I went to Birmingham University. And I was the children's supervisor, so fitting kids'
I
shoes.
remember going to have my
Yeah,
Clark
we've all
shoe
been
fitted.
there.
Yeah.
So that was, I worked Saturday and Sunday and 3 days in the week and did my 6 hour a week degree at the same time.
Brilliant.
Which meant I didn't get any debt. I did take out my student loan, but only because back then the interest rates were like negligible. So I took it out and then put it into premium bonds.
Oh, wow.
And
So
money
you've
out of
always
it.
been good with money then,
Yeah,
haven't you?
and then I just paid it back after.
Wow.
Really?
So you don't have a student loan now?
No.
Brilliant.
Done and dusted.
Brilliant.
No, I mean, the student loans weren't as big back then. I think you took out like 10 grand basically, whereas now it's more like 50, 60, I think.
That's quite a nice little example, actually, because like not many graduates or like students would know to do that sort of stuff or even know about it.
Yeah.
So where did you learn about this sort of stuff? Have you always been interested in money then?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. And I've always been
Why?
I've worked since I was 14.
Yeah.
I've always been very determined to not be reliant on anybody else.
Yeah.
And always to path my own way. So it was really important for me to, I always wanted to work so that you could support yourself, and ultimately longer term that was about supporting my family. So yeah, I think it's part of a mindset. It's probably
Where did that mindset come from though?
I don't think it's the sort of thing you can teach. I think it's just the way you are. You're determined and want to, I guess I'm someone as well that just hates sitting around. I need to be doing stuff all the time and be growing and doing something positive. So I wouldn't have just been able to doss around at uni laying in bed till lunchtime because I just couldn't do that. I feel like I had to get up and do something.
Yeah. So that maybe then is like the start of your money journey then, is it? Like, could you say?
Yeah, probably.
The whole premium bonds
Yeah,
thing?
because then when I was in my last year, I thought, I'm going to have to get a proper job now. I can't stay working at Clark's forever. I mean, you could, but it would have been a bit of a waste of the degree and so on. So I literally just walked around at the university. They have all these like what they call the milk rounds where you get loads of different employers coming, and there were all the accounting firms were there. And I thought, I was good at maths at school. My A-levels, I had maths and further maths, so I was obviously
you're good at maths.
It was something
Very
that
good at
I was
maths.
naturally well suited to. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a go. And then I got a job at Grant Thornton in London because I thought London would be fun coming from Devon.
Yeah.
Played in Birmingham, so you're going up
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
next big
Built it
city.
up.
Have they
Yeah.
got Clark's
London.
there as well?
Yeah. But I applied to be in the audit department and I didn't even know what audit was.
Yeah.
And then I remember the interview, the partner said to me, why do you want to work in audit? And I was like,
Because there was a job available.
Yeah, I thought there's no way I'm getting this job, but I did. Yeah.
And how did you find it?
I loved the job. Straight from the set. I was just lucky I'd fallen into the right thing. And
So
it
you
was
loved
just
auditing and
yeah. I've just always loved accountancy ever since I've done it, which I appreciate sounds pretty sad, but I've just always enjoyed it. I can't imagine doing anything else. And people think I think the part of the job that I like, it's not just the numbers. The numbers I'm comfortable with, and it's a kind of security thing because I like things that are right or wrong.
with you.
So compared to some other areas. But it's in audit, you're going out to different clients, to different businesses all the time. So it's actually, I found people skills were just as important as accountancy. And that's where working in clerks actually put me in a really good position because I was used to dealing with the public all the time, people complaining, there's the kids' shoes are broke, they're kicking off in the shop and you're like having to smile sweetly and deal with that. And I think a lot of it is particularly with audit because you go into a business and think people automatically are defensive. They think you're there to check what they've done and to find mistakes. So it's like trying to make them feel relaxed because we're not looking to find mistakes. We want it all to be fine just as much as they do. So we can sign a nice clean audit report. If it's not right, it just means more work for us to get to the bottom of it.
With being an accountant, maybe a silly question, but obviously being really good with like numbers and maths helps, but do you have to be really good with numbers and maths?
No, not. We do to an extent, but only to a low level. So when we're recruiting, we recruit a lot of apprentices. That's our preferred route rather than graduates. And we require a certain grade in maths, GCSE. It used to be a B. I think now that might be a 6. They've gone to numbers from letters.
I think it is actually.
Not good with numbers.
Basically, if you can do maths to GCSE level, you don't need to have taken it any further. You don't need to have done maths A level because that becomes like calculus and obscure things. If you can deal with basic maths, percentages and fractions and stuff like that, then that's enough, and that's all covered at GCSE. So if you can get to sort of that level at a GCSE level, that's all that's needed. Anything beyond that isn't going to really help you.
Because the reason why I asked that question is I did like A-level business and GCSE and all like the accounting modules and stuff like that. I didn't necessarily struggle with like the numbers. It's like all the terminology, it's all like the actual formats of like the balance sheets, the spreadsheets and where to put that sort of stuff. Like that was the hardest bit, I felt like.
Yeah, because the maths is no harder than what you would have done at GCSE maths. That's the thing. Whereas that's new stuff.
Got a calculator as well. Like, I know that
yeah. We've got a calculator. I'm not that great at mental arithmetic.
No.
I don't need to be.
I mean, I imagine it would help an awful lot, wouldn't it? Like if you're really, really good at maths. Like,
yes,
really,
of
really
course. Yeah, and you do need a certain level. But then we also have the same requirement for English GCSEs because actually you also need to be able to write emails and letters and document what you've done and so on. So I think that's important.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you audited, that was your first position.
Yes.
And then did you have any different like sort of positions in and around up to 10 years ago?
Yes. So I did a secondment into forensic accounting, which was quite fun at Grant
nice.
Thornton. Involved going to Rotterdam for a big, really interesting case. I was very excited by this. I was only in my first year and I thought this is going to be so exciting. Forensic accounting. I'm going to Rotterdam with a team and this is going to be great. And then they got there and my job was to do photocopying.
Oh.
So I was photocopying bank statements because it was before the time of online banking.
Oh.
So I was disappointed. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be. But so after Grant Thornton, I moved back down to Devon, which is where I'm from originally, because I'd had my son while I was up there, and it's much better being near family when you've got young children. So I moved back down to Devon after I qualified, and worked for Ernst & Young, which is one of the big four accountancy firms. Yeah. That was also in an audit role, and I was an audit manager there. I was working in the Exeter office, and they closed that office while I was working there. So I was one of just 8 people that stayed with the firm and transferred to the Bristol office, but looked after a lot of the old Exeter client base. So I was an audit manager for the old Exeter clients that stayed with Ernst & Young. And then while I was there, I had my daughter. anyone that's Boost will hear a much more detailed story of why all these changes. So I was there for 7 years, I think, at EY. And the whole Bristol thing became less palatable because my client base was still in Devon and my office was in Bristol and I lived in Devon. They offered me relocation up to Bristol, like to pay for your relocation, but then all my clients were in Devon and my family's in Devon.
Yeah.
I don't really want to move to Bristol. So I just went to Bristol a day a week, worked from home, which was quite unusual back then because this is pre-COVID, obviously, when people didn't really work from home.
That is unusual as well, isn't it? I don't think people appreciate that.
No.
Yeah.
So I worked from home, which was unusual, and just went to Bristol a day a week. But to progress further in my career, to go to senior manager, and if I wanted to become a partner, I would have needed to spend more time in Bristol because you need to be seen. It's not just about being good at your job. It's about being seen by the right people and playing the game a little bit. And
I think that's slowly coming back as well, sort of post-COVID, we've seen.
I couldn't do that in Bristol.
No.
So I left there and joined Bishop Fleming, who are a local regional firm. Again, it was in an audit role as a senior audit manager there, primarily working with audit clients, but I also got the opportunity to work with some of the smaller clients that weren't audit clients and got to do different things that I'd not done before. And I think that's where, they took me on because I had Big Four background and their aspirations were to grow, which they still are, and to work with bigger and bigger clients. But I found actually I really enjoyed working with the smaller clients. When I say smaller, the audit threshold was like 10 million. So clients turning over less than 10 million.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So making it sound like it's a sole trader. This is not where we're at. So whereas at EY, my clients were turning over 200, 300, 400 million.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So this was a big change. And I actually got to work more with owner managers and really enjoyed that type of work and the bit that I now do at Griffin. Yeah. And I just thought, this is so much better. When you're working in a very big firm and with very big clients, you're a small cog in a big machine, can't really change anything. And in terms of the clients, they've got in-house finance people. So my clients had in-house tax specialists.
Really?
So all they want you to do is an audit and go and someone sign the audit report.
Yeah.
And you couldn't add any value really, other than making that audit process as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're working with an owner manager, they might have one finance person, they might not, depending on the size of the business, but they're not going to have the same level of qualifications, experiences, we would do, because they've probably just worked in, doing bookkeeping or whatever within a company for all of their career. So there's so much more we can do for them, an extra value we can add, and you actually make a difference. And that's what I enjoyed. And the way they were going, they were moving away to the bigger stuff. And I was thinking, actually, I really like this stuff. So, and I guess that's how Griffin started, because I saw a gap in the market. You had the larger firms that were wanting to go on in a sort of bigger direction. They would give some really good advice to very large businesses. They've got some really good people working for them that can give them really good advice. But the smaller business, the less than the audit threshold, they don't get to talk to those people.
Yeah.
They would just get their accounts done once a year, and they become less important to that firm. So you had those sorts of firms, but you also then at the other end you'd have what we call your high street firms. So just one small office, quite old fashioned, deal with a lot of sort of farmers, sole traders, partnerships, that sort of thing. And it felt like there was this gap in the market in the middle where businesses turning over, particularly between 500,000 and 10 million, where do they get the good advice? And they're the ones that really need the good advice because they don't have the in-house people, but their business is big enough and complex enough that there is stuff you can do for them. So I thought there was a gap in the market, and that's partly a big part of where Griffin came from, really, thinking we could sort of fill that gap.
That's great. What sort of size, or you might have answered the question there, but size of business or type of business do you feel like you're able to really influence the most? If that makes sense. Or have
I think
impact.
As soon as people start to employ people, as soon as you're more than sort of just one person, then there's more going on straight away. You're becoming more of a business. And then our clients, as business clients, go up to about 40 million turnover at the moment.
Really?
So, and, within the Southwest, that is the vast majority of businesses. So actually our market is the majority of businesses in the Southwest. So it works really well. And I think the way, everything about the way we work with our clients is so important. I get approached all the time. I had 2 people approach me yesterday, emails from people wanting to acquire Griffin, big national setups. But we'd lose everything that there is about Griffin, so that's not happening.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's like the personal touch, I suppose, isn't it? And
and the
local
culture
presence and
of the
everything.
firm. So I've talked a lot about the client experience, but I look forward to coming to work. I enjoy working here. It's a nice place to be. And the culture, again, one of the things I didn't like at other places, that it's more traditional firms that have been around for a long time. Accountancy is quite formal. It's quite hierarchical. It's very structured. And I think everywhere I've worked previously, and from people who've joined us from other firms as well, you hear the same feedback that partners wouldn't even know the names of all the people working there, and they wouldn't acknowledge them, say hello to them in the morning because they're, too important.
That is mental, isn't it?
Is not the culture we've created here. Is everybody is treated very equally. Everybody, I'll chat to the apprentices, the admin staff, whatever, and everyone's as important. They've all got their role within the business, so it's a very different culture, and I like to think it's a very safe place to work. People feel comfortable. If they haven't got to worry that they don't know how to do something, that they worry they're going to look stupid by asking a question, because we've probably all asked those questions at some point. So it really has created this nice culture. The office is open plan and everyone's working very closely together. I bring my dogs to work, so they're running around, which is nice. It was interesting. One of the apprentices said she was asked at college the other day what we do as a firm for mental health and mental well-being. She goes, "Oh, we've got well-being dogs."
Dogs, yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
So how have you created that culture over the 10 years then? Would you say it's always been like that from the start, or?
I've always tried to make it like that from the start. One of the biggest challenges is recruiting the right people and having the right people that will embrace that and take it for what it is. Again, if you came to my Boost events, you'd know this thing about eagles and ducks that I talked about.
Yeah, tell the story. I think it's
tell
brilliant.
Us more. Yeah, I didn't.
No, it's better with the video. But you want an organisation of eagles. These are people who want to succeed. They want to thrive. They want to be part of a team. They're very sort of protective of each other, and it's just a nice place to work. But sometimes you get a duck.
Quite.
I'm not going to do the impression.
No.
Nothing wrong with ducks in this sense, though.
Yeah. But you'll have to watch the video. If you Google eagle versus ducks, you'll see it. But they're the people who, for whatever reason, there's probably always something underlying it for them personally. They're just never happy, and they're always moaning, and everything can always be better. And the problem is when you get one, if it's, if you don't kind of deal with that problem early, it spreads because people who were previously very happy, going along, doing their job, doing very well, they'll be saying to them, "Oh, you should be entitled to that. You should be getting that."
Planting seeds.
And they're thinking, "Oh, should I?" And then all of a sudden, you've got this problem. And that has happened at various points. How
have you mitigated that? Does that start at like the recruitment's process?
Absolutely crucial. So we don't, when we're recruiting, we've got a few rules. One is any doubts, it's a no, because it is so much better to, as much as sometimes you feel like you really need extra people, because we're growing, sometimes the pressure, the workload can get a lot.
I bet that's hard to stick to as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
if you feel like I just need somebody, but, and this person's should be okay, there's just this one thing. It's got to be a no, because whenever you go against your gut, you regret it. And it's better to have no one than have the wrong person, than having a duck that it's not just them, it impacts the culture and the morale of everyone else
that is
around
true.
them.
You've got to think long term with that sort of rule, don't you?
Yeah, so recruitment is absolutely key, and we've always hire not necessarily for skills, because I can teach you to be a good accountant, that's fine, but it's more for the person, their values, their work ethic, their personality, that sort of thing, rather than what actual skills they've got, because those things you can't teach.
Do you feel like you've developed kind of the it's not strength, but to be able to like keep yourself accountable, like, no, they're not the right person? You think you've developed that over the 10 years? Yeah. I can imagine that's quite difficult to stay on track.
And it's partly from experience of not doing it and taking a risk, because sometimes you'll interview someone and you think, I don't know what it is. There's something that makes me think this isn't right, and it is your gut. And you think, but there's nothing tangible. So,
it's hard to
and
trust
we do need
though,
someone.
isn't it?
We do need someone. There's nothing obvious. There's just something. And then you take a risk, and then you regret it.
Are you the type of person, and this might have changed throughout your career, that's this certainly changed for me, but like when you're hiring and recruiting, you sort of try to make reasons for them to be the right person?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because you want to fill that role.
Yeah.
And because recruitment, it drains you. It takes so long. I'm lucky now that I'm not massively involved in the recruitment process. I just rock up to the final interview after they've already gone through quite a lot of a process.
That's a dream, isn't it?
But, back when I was involved, I see on the other people who are doing this, if you just keep going, like sometimes you'll have like 5 interviews in a day.
Yeah.
And you'll walk in and just straight away, it's a no, and you just think, oh, I'm wasting my time. So we've started now, we do the first stages after the application is a phone interview. And that just takes 5 or 10 minutes. And that's really just to know that it's worthwhile. Check they can communicate. Can they communicate? Can they talk to me on the phone?
Yeah.
And there are only obvious red flags, so that you're then reducing the number of times you're just sitting through a sort of 45-minute interview that
but with
is pointless.
like now, like I was the type of person at the start that was like, had somebody in for interview, and I was like, I thought of every reason why they'd be good. But now I'm a little bit more of, I think of every reason why they'd be bad. More so like you become a little bit more defeatist, and I suppose that's how maybe I've tried to like trust my instinct more with that sort of stuff.
I think,
but when you're so desperate for people, it's hard to get
and
to that,
something
isn't
I picked up on is, because like I said, I'm lucky. I come in on some second interview at the end just to give the final stamp. But there's some interviews you walk away from and you think, they're fine. And then there are other interviews you walk away from and you feel really excited. You think, I can really see this person in the team. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. We're really excited about them. And then it's also how they respond even after you've made the offer. Like, it's really nice when somebody is really excited when you give them an offer and you feel like, yes, they really want to be here and we really want them. And they're doing things like sending the contract back quickly, getting the references in quickly. You just think, yes, they want to work here. And then there's other people, you're chasing them. You think, well, do you want to work here?
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you've formed a impression of that person before they've even started, I guess.
And I suppose if they're not making the effort, then you don't want them, do you?
Well, not really, because you think, well, is this what you're going to be like when you
yeah.
With culture, you mentioned that at the start.
Yeah.
Tom back at Conquer talks about this a lot. Like, does the culture start, or did you create the culture from yourself and then sort of down, or did you get the right people in to set the culture and then it sort of trickled up? Or
I would say it's partly, to a certain extent, got to start at the top, but it's a team effort. So everything we do we involve the whole team. So I think, again, in a lot of organisations, when we moved offices to here, a lot of organisations worked up. You just get an email telling you, oh, we found these amazing new offices. We're moving in 2 weeks. Yeah, okay, fine, great. But when we decided that we were going to move, our lease had come to the end at our old office, and they wanted us to renew it, but we had kind of outgrown the space, so we knew that we needed somewhere bigger if we were going to continue to grow. Right from the outset, the team were involved. We're telling them, we're going to get new offices. We need somewhere bigger. This is really exciting. And when I went to view offices, I always took 2 members of the team with me so they could have a look at it and they had input. And then once we got this place, we had to do a big sort of refurb of it. And I think only while the builders were still here, we got the whole team on lunchtime to come over. We sat in this room big table in the middle and got McDonald's and all sort of ate here and had a look at the builders were all here and everything else. But I think, and then when we moved, we didn't all get a removal company. The team did it. We had half the team there, half the team here, 2 people in a van in between. And it was like, but it was during working day and we just closed for the day.
Yeah.
And everyone got involved and it was a really good sort of team building experience actually. But everyone felt very involved in the fact that we were moving. This was due to the growth. It was exciting. It was a positive thing. So I think
very transparent in that sense. Like you said at the start, even from like an employee point of view, as well as clients, bigger businesses, you wouldn't even know like partners' names. You wouldn't have any interaction with that. But here you're all part of one big team.
Yeah.
You know, you're all working towards like the same goal, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which sounds a bit obvious, doesn't it? But like there are so many businesses out there that don't do a lot of this sort of stuff.
I think particularly in our industry.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously when I was out auditing, if I would go and work in like a marketing company or something like that, they did tend to have that sort of environment a little bit more anyway. Where they tend to be like younger and generally more that way. And I guess that's probably an element in our team as well. We are quite a young team. I think I'm the second oldest person. So that's just the way that we are. And all of our managers, apart from one, have started with us as trainees and worked up through the ranks.
Wow.
So it does feel like a family in a way.
And I think
nice
that
story.
just goes back to people with your moving story. You've got to have the right people in the team to even want to do that, to even want to take part in that activity.
You can have some people say, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a screwdriver out.
Yeah. And that's just not the Griffin way, is it? Yeah.
No, I think
we all muck in. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I think we sort of worked that out because we did actually go through a phase of just talking about culture all the time.
Yeah, we did.
You know what I mean? Like it was a bit weird. Like we were just talking about loads of different like case studies and stuff like that. I think maybe what we worked out, and you've basically just said it with an example, is we like, you know, you've got to set the culture from the top, obviously, because it's like your business, but you've got to then hire the right kind of people that also match that culture as well and like want to be part of that culture. Because like Manny said, if you hired loads of people that were ducks plodding along and they aren't interested in like team building and like not sociable and not interested in helping grow the business, then they wouldn't have enjoyed it.
No,
it wouldn't have been a good exercise.
If someone just wants to come here, work till 9 till 5, doesn't really care, they just sit down and this probably isn't the right place for them.
Yeah.
But we'll be open about that. You know, we are different to other firms.
Yeah.
And it might not suit everybody.
Yeah. Going back to the ducks, I think maybe if there's...
We've spoken loads about ducks recently, actually. We had Doug Manser, Doug Manser.
Doug Manser. Steve
That is
Manser.
so funny. That is so funny. I've just said that. Doug Manser.
The DC UK like wooden ducks. Have you seen those?
I have, yeah.
We had Steve Manser on, who
also known as Duck Manser from now on.
Also known as Duck Manser. But going back to the ducks, because there might be some business owners listening to this thinking, oh, I actually think I've got some ducks in my team. How did you go about getting rid of the ducks or turning them into eagles? Did you do that?
Can you turn ducks into eagles?
It's hard. Probably not. I
think I would agree with you. Yeah.
I think I've tried. So my initial response when this started happening was, because these ducks moan a lot. It can be anything.
Yeah.
And my initial response is, they're complaining about this. This is what I must fix. They're hot. I'll get them a fan. They're cold. I'll get them a heater. I'm thinking there's got to be, ways to fix the problems. But then with these people, it doesn't matter how much you fix. There'll be something
There'll
else.
always be something else.
They just like moaning. It's just the way they are. But I think sometimes there normally is something behind it. Like people aren't born moany people, unhappy people. There'll be some reason they're feeling that way. And it depends if, one, can you identify what that is from talking to them? And two, can you resolve it? The biggest issue we had was when we split into the 2 offices. So we started in Honiton, then we opened Exeter, and Exeter's the bigger office. And it was where I tended to be based most of the time. I did go there a day a week initially.
Is there still a hotline office? Sorry.
Yes, there is, but we've downsized it. There's now only 3 people in it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't working.
Ducks.
So we, so I think partly people who worked there felt a little bit disconnected from, and so that maybe was, I think, what drove the behaviour slightly. They didn't feel, it's hard on two sites, isn't it, to make sure, and we did a lot to try and make sure the communication was working, but ultimately we struggled to recruit a manager that wanted to work in Honiton, and when we did, they then wanted to transfer to Exeter because they thought this is where
it's happening.
It's all happening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but then you've got a group of people that want to be in Honiton because they live near there and they're local and they're quite happy there. But initially we had one person that was, disgruntled, always complaining, and probably as well because there wasn't someone supervising there, they would talk a lot and then it spreads amongst the other people. And it got to the point where I stopped going there because I would walk in the door and it felt cold. I felt like they'd been talking about me. They, moaning.
Just feel it.
It didn't feel like, I didn't feel like they wanted me there. I didn't feel like I wanted to be there. So then you stop going and then you think, oh, this isn't right because this is my business.
Yeah.
And I should feel comfortable. And it's not the environment I want. I go back to Exeter and everyone's really friendly and getting on and working together and think, it's worlds apart. How has this happened within one organisation? And so I think it's important, one, to deal with it early on when it's just one person, before it spreads. And you do have to deal with it. You
can deal with it. When you say deal with it, what do you mean?
If you can get to the underlying problem and help them to, feel more involved, used to do whatever, then you can work on that and that might resolve the problem. But ultimately, problems probably, it sounds harsh, not going to go until that core person has gone.
And that's a really, really hard point to get to, isn't it? Because if you've got somebody who is a good performer in terms of, some senses or, doing their job, that's really hard to get rid of somebody and let people go like that.
And we were talking about that this week at Directors Breakfast because somebody brought up about they've got somebody who is a very high performer, but is very negative and brings down the rest of the team. But actually, if you remove that person, you'll probably find the rest of the team will rise up and it will be better for their development and their opportunities because they were probably being held down by, particularly if someone's a good performer, they think like, I'm the best at this. And then they don't give other people opportunities. And as harsh as it sounds in my experience, particularly earlier on, most of the time, I leave it too long before deciding there's no solution other than it's not working. Because they're human beings and sitting there telling someone this isn't working.
It's hard.
You're going to have to go essentially. It's really hard, especially if you've known them for a while and you've got to know them, which is the culture of Griffin. I will know them personally. But if you leave so you probably leave it longer than you should because you don't want to do that. That isn't, business owners aren't robots. You don't want to be letting people go. You don't. This is not the desired outcome for anyone. So you do everything you can.
That's the
to
hardest
avoid
part
it.
of your job.
Absolutely, yeah. But if you leave it too long, what I've always found is whenever it's come to doing it, actually the hardest thing I've found is then communicating it with everybody else. Because you think, I don't want people to think we just let people go willy-nilly or they're worried about their own job security or, is this going to impact the culture because you worry that you look cold or whatever. And telling everyone else, you think, what's the best way to do it? Do we send an all-staff email? Do we gather them together? And, how much do you tell them? It's really difficult. But every time it has happened, the response has been surprisingly positive because if they were that bad, the rest of the staff have already picked up on that. Either they're relieved that person's going because they were making the atmosphere not very nice, or if it's because of performance related or not putting in much effort, they were probably picking up the slack for that person and they're thinking, fantastic, because now we can get someone who actually pulls their weight and does their job. So
I think you've got to be like a pretty mature business leader to actually action that and actually do that, because I feel like we can resonate here definitely, but maybe not mature enough to have actioned it, if that makes sense.
A lot of people say that.
So we've always known it, and then you look back and you think, oh, I didn't do anything. It's always hindsight.
Yeah.
It's always been hindsight. But like to be able to action it and like do it on your terms and actually make that decision.
Yeah.
I think you've got to. Yeah, that's the only way I can describe it. Be like a really mature business leader to actually do that.
Because a lot of things, in theory, it's the right thing to do. If someone gave you a case study and presented you with the scenario without you knowing the individual or anything else, you think that's the obvious thing to do. Yeah. Why would you not? There's all these benefits. There's no downside.
How do you come to that conclusion, though? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's just something that you think of, or like, because I've never come to that conclusion yet.
Of letting someone go.
Yeah, like, I have, but like not there's some ones you look back and you think I really should have actioned that way sooner. That should have happened a lot quicker. Looking back, that should have happened. Blah blah blah. Did you get to a stage where it just happened that many times where you think, right, I'm not going to let it happen again?
I think again,
because I'm trying to get some help for myself here with how you actually got to that stage. I want to get rid of Maddie
now. Quack. Now it's much better. So at the moment now we have an ELT structure, so an executive leadership team. So previously this was all my decision on my own, and it's a big decision because it's going to have a big impact, and you feel you probably delay it because you're doubting yourself. But now with having a senior team, we discuss it together and we agree on the best, because there's 4 people in our ELT. If 4 people are thinking it's time, I think we probably act quicker now because it's less emotional when it's not just your decision. It's a joint decision.
And am I right to say you're obviously the business owner, but they're obviously not all business owners, so they get to see things in completely different perspectives when you have that. Yeah, which is a huge benefit, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is, because I think, again, earlier on in Griffin, when you first start up your business and you're starting to grow it and you got 3, 4, 5 people, whatever, everything feels very personal. Like your business is you. It's your baby. It's what you've created. So if somebody's damaging it internally, that's really upsetting for you personally. You're thinking, what have I done? Why is this person behaving that way? Because I've tried to do everything I can to make it a good culture, to make it a happy place and for people to want to work here. And you do feel things personally. So again, if people are like, we had one example very early on where I didn't realise this guy had only been with us about 3 or 4 months. And it turned out he'd been spending more than half his time not doing work, and he used to, at home, would do these strategy games online, and he'd been creating these giant spreadsheets which were saved on our network of all these rooms in this big strategy game and the different powers of the different characters and all this. And it ended up being another member of staff that was sat next to him, and she ignored it for a long time, but she thought, this isn't right. She could see him doing it. He seemed very blasé about it. And she ended up raising it, saying, I hate to be a grass, I don't want to do it, but this has got out of control. And we had a look on the net, we found this giant spreadsheet and confronted him, and he's like, yeah.
He wasn't even like self-aware about it.
He was like, yeah, been doing it.
Oh, wow.
Appreciate I shouldn't have been. I even said to him,
how
much of your time have you been doing this? And he's like, don't know, just under half maybe.
What the flip?
And I'm thinking, at this point, we only employed 5 people.
Oh, wow.
And it felt like he's stealing from you because you're paying him.
Yeah.
And he's not actually doing the work you're paying him to do. He's just doing his planning for his game that evening.
I'm actually quite baffled by that.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't know what to say back to him. No.
And then I said, well, clearly that's not acceptable. And you say, we're going to have to let you go. And he's like, what now? I went, yeah, now.
Give me a couple months.
Oh my gosh.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
The leadership team. I've learned a bit there. I feel like definitely we've got a leadership team now, haven't we? Or like a sort of couple levels of management leadership. Is that something that maybe getting a bit too nitty gritty here, but like if you have worries, do you throw it out to the leadership team and say, maybe I've got these concerns, am I being
to
normal?
a certain extent? One, I'm looking, they can bring,
Yeah.
they see more than I do, and they're closer in contact to the next people below, sort of thing, so they can identify things that I haven't picked up on. And it is really nice having people you can talk to, and most things I can have a conversation with them. But there are some things that you can't, just because you worry your impact, how they're feeling, or, you know, ultimately they're also employees, and you do need to kind of consider that. So there are some things. I think a prime example was COVID. You know, that for a business owner, you just like, you hear Bojo, as we called him in our house, announcing that you're not allowed out, you got to stay at home, all of this, and you're just like, what? And everyone was thinking the same, but for me, I'm thinking, what about the business? Or how do we work? This is do we work? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then literally he's finished talking, and my phone's going beep 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 beep, ringing,
Everyone.
beep. What's the plan? I'm like,
Don't know.
I've just heard the same as you.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So, and I think that's where, you know, it's again having that maturity to not feel like you've got to give an instant answer, saying, do you know what? I've just heard the same information from you. Give me 20 minutes. Let me have a bit of a think about this, and I'll get back to you.
Let me come to terms with what's happened.
It's keeping sometimes, and then all the way through times like that, and anything that's going on, if things do get tough for whatever reason, ultimately, as the leader, I feel like I have to be positive, confident, and strong. And some days you'll have days where you feel like you just want to crawl under the desk and cry, but no one can know that. Because as soon as they think you're broken,
they think the business is broken.
Then there's a major issue, right? So as long as you're staying, and which is why my husbands get my ranting when I go home at night.
Do you think that, like, with that though, that there in the future is possibilities that a business owner would be a little bit more open? Because as somebody that's not a business owner, I wouldn't necessarily think that as someone being broken. That's just the way that it is about business. That's just what goes into it. It's your everything. It's your also maybe it makes you seem less robotic.
Maybe
to show those emotions.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that. It'd be really hard to do that as well.
Yeah, there were 2 people from Griffin that attended the Boost event, and I think they were quite surprised.
Oh, really?
At the things I said, because they've never seen me be like that before. So, but I think that actually they said they were surprised, but it just actually made them respect me more.
Yeah.
That you've been through those things and you have a normal life like everyone else, with highs and lows and problems like everyone does.
Yeah.
What have been like the biggest challenges then with like running a business and being a business owner outside of like the day-to-day accountancy stuff?
I think it's that sense of responsibility. I think particularly if you were running your business on your own, because I'm the sole owner of Griffin. So ultimately everything's on me. I think if you've got a business partner, then maybe that's a bit easier because you're sharing the pressure. But then we've got lots of clients who start a business with like a best friend or whatever, and they end up falling out and it's a disaster. So at least you don't have that to worry about. More recently, and I'd never really gone down the route of like having a coach or anything like that. It all sounded a bit mumbo jumbo to me, and I wasn't really convinced by it. But about a year ago, we did a leadership day, which was mainly aimed at our managers, because they have all come up through the ranks with us and they're very good accountants, but don't necessarily have a background in managing a team and so on. So we thought this would be really good for them, and for myself and Laura as well, to, as a leadership team, go away and spend a day just focusing on different, not just the day job. But off the back of that, the chap that ran it, I've ended up, he's now a coach for me, and I meet him probably once every other month, and we just have a chat for an hour. And it's quite good to put things past people, because sometimes you think, am I just missing something here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're just,
it's a soundboard, isn't it?
you've got an idea, and you think, I know this is the right way to go, but it's going to cause upset here and here, but I need someone to tell me that, yes, this is a sensible plan. Because it's hard when you don't have somebody else to bounce things off of. And again, the leadership team comes in a lot here, ELT, but it depends what it is.
Yeah, I can imagine that's like really valuable, because obviously for like Conquer, there's 3 of us, and there are so many times, like I'm very grateful for that, because you don't know it all. Do you? Like nobody knows it all. And even like when you're so confident on something, you know, sometimes you get it wrong, don't you?
And I think also as a business leader, as an owner, it's a bit more emotional. Again, it is your baby. So you need somebody where it isn't their baby and they can be objective. Because sometimes there is a risk that you do something because of the emotion behind it, rather than because if you were being objective, it was strategically the right thing to do. So I think it's good to get another perspective.
It goes back to like your ducks and eagles thing, isn't it, really? Because sometimes you can be so emotional in decisions, and, you know, I feel like maybe we've kept certain people on and just, you know, dragged it out over and over again, because you think, put all this time and effort, all this, you know, emotional baggage into it, and you think it's going to work, it's going to work, it's going to work, but ultimately it never does, do it? And you know deep down it never does, because you're just being too emotional about that decision rather than being objective about it.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard thing to do.
And it's building the trust as well, like the trust in your leadership team that you can completely trust them to be completely open. And
how do you do that?
Be part.
Because that's a big thing for an employee and a leadership team to come to you and say, this is what's happening, I'm not happy with this. You know, because it sometimes it does feel like you're being a bit of a grass and stuff like that, doesn't it? So how do you build that trust?
Time, culture, being approachable, and being just a normal person.
I suppose maybe it's it could be how you deal with it afterwards, after somebody's given you that information. Because if you deal with it in the right way, and that, you know, you're not like, oh, so and so's just grassed on you, then you wouldn't do
mention
that,
how
would
you
you?
knew. You say, it's, you know,
I think
become aware.
Yeah. You know the terminology.
Yeah. So you've run your business for 10 years.
Yes.
Misty, then this is such a classic stereotypical question, but I do feel like it goes into a lot. But like, what advice would you actually give yourself, you know, 10 years ago? Like, what sort of things would you have done different?
I think the main thing is, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You will sometimes make the wrong decision because you're human, or you'll do things you think afterwards, I could have done that better or could have done it differently. But don't be too much of I guess I have a bar that's quite high for myself, probably higher than anyone else. And so it's being realistic and real around the fact you are a normal person. And also, when you do achieve things, taking time to reflect and enjoy it and appreciate it. Like, I think this year for us, because it's been 10 years, has really been my time of looking back and thinking, do you know what? We've done all right here. Whereas normally you'll just head down in the day-to-day, getting on with it. And of course you're happy when you've won a big new contract or something like that, but then the next day you're just back to it again. And
you always think about the next one. Sort of thing, aren't you?
Yeah. And it's celebrating the milestones as well, you know. So and celebrating, and I think also making sure the team understand that when something good happens, you are excited about it and you really appreciate their role within it as well. Because if you do, like, someone's worked really hard with you to achieve something, the next day you're just like back on with it. It's a bit deflating.
It's very different for an employee, isn't it?
Yeah. So making sure you celebrate things with things. I mean, something we've been working on a lot recently from feedback from people is staff always get told when they've done something wrong, or you should have done it this way or whatever, but they rarely get told in any organisation, do you know what you did today, that was really fantastic. You know, so I think we're making a lot more effort to celebrate things that go well. Like we brought out Employee of the Month recently, which is, you know, a new thing. A lot of organisations do it, I guess, but it's not just the fact they've got a £50 Amazon voucher. It's the fact you've sent an all-staff email saying this person's Employee of the Month. This is all the good things they've done, which is quite nice, you know.
Makes it meaningful, doesn't it?
Shouting about it.
Yeah. But it's, I'd say celebrating your achievements as you go along, and also not taking it too much to heart when things don't, because you won't always win everything you go for. You won't always succeed, and that's just life.
Yeah, definitely.
And the only thing you can do, there's no point beating yourself up over it, thinking we should have done this. Look back and think, what could we have done differently? Is there anything we could have done? But sometimes there's nothing you could have done. often if we ever lose something, it might be because, we've decided to go with a bigger firm. There's nothing I can do about that. I can't make us bigger. It is what it is. We can have explained to them the benefits of not going with a massive firm because they'll get the personal touch and all the rest of it. But if they then decide that's what they want because it's a brand on, they know and trust or whatever, then there's not much we can do about it.
No, yeah.
So then you've got to look to the next thing.
Yeah.
We go again. That's a phrase we use all the time. When you get knocked down, you go again.
Yeah. That's what I get caught up in. It's always thinking, right, next thing. You know what I mean? Like you've broken it down really nicely there, but you've got to celebrate all those good things.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think, that is a good thing, but where's the next thing? I think that's very much like a business owner thing, isn't it? Because you've got to keep the wheel turning.
Yeah.
But I suppose for like employees, they're not the ones that have to so much keep the wheel turning. They do want to celebrate these things a lot more.
Yeah.
Which is difficult to get the balance of not thinking, right, I've got to do something else. I've got to do something else. So it's almost like being more present in the moment rather than, living for tomorrow sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose that's quite nice where your senior leadership team comes in as well, because they are also employees, so they probably appreciate that everybody does want to celebrate, and maybe they can kind of have that, they resonate with the feeling a bit more than maybe what yourself or a business owner might, because I think it is also natural that business owners are thinking about the next thing, and that would be strange if they weren't.
Yeah.
So everybody's got their place, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think they say even the ELT, you need to make sure they understand you really appreciate what they're doing. There was an example recently we do, so again, something we've been doing for about a year is we have a town hall once a month where it'd be first thing in the morning, we get bacon butties in for everybody. We all come together and there will be whatever, we talk about whatever that is relevant at the time.
Love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Town hall. And it will be like half an hour. You got your bacon butty, your cup of tea, and everyone's all there together. And the last one of our senior managers who's in ELT ran it, and she's only been back from maternity leave a couple of months. And so just got used to this new concept of town hall, which we didn't used to do. And I know you're coming back from times off. It can be difficult and trying to reestablish yourself. But she had it was a really good town hall. She put a lot of effort in. She was doing this to come up with the idea of doing quote of the month, which is now on the staff room notice board and so on. And it was just, I thought, what, this one's probably the best one we've had, and it's really good. So we've got an ELT Teams chat, and I messaged in it and said, well done. That was a really good town hall, probably the best one we've had. And she said, do you know what, that means a lot.
Yeah.
What do you do in that town hall? Is that somebody that comes?
It's different every time. So sometimes it might just be a bit of an update on recruitment, anything that's going on. So we want to keep everybody informed on what's going on. And again, as you grow, you can't just have a conversation in the office because people might not be in, or, on holiday, college, whatever, out with clients. So it's an opportunity to communicate. And also there will be different topics each time. So the next one, for example, we're currently on the journey to become a B Corp. We're trying to go through that process. And we've got a B leader, and our B leader's coming into the next town hall to talk to the staff about what is a B Corp, why do we want to be one, and the journey we're going on, again, to try and keep everybody kind of feeling like they're sort of involved and on that journey with us.
Is it more for you to tell people what's going on, or for them to contribute ideas?
It's both. And it depends on what the topic is as to what it might be. So we had one a couple of months ago where Neil, the coach I was talking about, he actually came in, facilitated it. Each month we have billing targets, as a lot of organisations will be, and there's bonuses if people hit these billing targets and all the rest of it. And what we've noticed is we bill something like 80% of the work in the last week of the month.
Really?
I'm thinking, why is so little getting out the door? Yeah. If it's because suddenly this motivation comes and we're like, can't understand, like, that last week feels frantic.
Yeah.
But we need to just spread the effort and it won't be so bad, right? So Neil came in and facilitated a session for people to have a think about, why is it like that? What is it about that last week of the month? Why can't we be maybe putting in a consistent amount, but not quite as high as that all the time? Because it can be quite, like, you get home after the end of the night,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
That's cool.
So that was more of them contributing their ideas, and they came up with loads of things that we've now implemented.
How long did it take for you to sort of
get out of working in the business opposed to working on the business?
It's still a journey.
Yeah.
It's improved, but yeah, it's difficult because you've got those long-standing relationships, but you've also got to trust your team. And it's very easy to think, I'll do that myself because I know I can do it the best, or I know I can do it right. But you've got to take the time to invest in your team, to train them and show them. And it may be a bit extra effort the first time you do it, and you may even need to help them a bit the second time. Then longer term, you've then got someone else that can do those things. So, and it gets to a point where it just isn't practical. You know, the business is at a size that I can't be the main point of contact for all our clients. It's just not practical. And I've got to rely on my team, particularly my managers, to give the same, that when they're dealing with one of them, it's the same experience as they get if they were dealing with me. And again, that isn't necessary in terms of technical knowledge, because it's fine for them to have a meeting with somebody and they say, something comes up, I say, do you know what? I'm going to need to check with Misty on that. I'll get back to you. And clients don't mind that. It's more around the way they come across and the way they are with their clients. Knowing that they give a good service, a good impression of the firm.
Yeah, because I think that's like so many business owners thing. Like that's certainly a thing for us, is like, how can we spend more time on the business rather than working in it? You know, we're
Definitely.
a recruitment business. You know, all three of us still recruit in, you know, a sense or to a level. But, you know, we're good recruiters. We try and impart that knowledge to other people. That I think time served is a big part of it. You know, it just takes time to like get people up to the right kind of level.
It does. And I think also because we've had, most of our managers have come up through the ranks and trained with Griffin. They do things the Griffin way.
So you've got all these processes in place which are scalable. So they've seen it all the way through.
And as we've grown, you have to put in more processes. When I first started, one thing I used to hate doing previously was timesheets. And I said, Griffin's going to be different. We're not going to have timesheets. And in our industry, that's like, no one doesn't do timesheets. We're going to work on fixed fees and we're not going to do timesheets. And then once we got to about 8 people and I don't know exactly what everybody's doing or how things are taking, I'm like, now I see why I'm in the timesheet. It all sounded a bit maverick, but there comes over time, there's more and more processes, because as you get bigger and you've got more people, you as the business owner can't be aware. I wouldn't know what all the different people are working on upstairs, because I can't, that isn't something I can possibly know all the time.
How do you relieve that control? How have you found that?
Really hard initially, and gradually over time got more and more used to it, and accepted it. And it's having trust in your team. It's having trust in your the managers to make sure they're on top of things, so that but you do sometimes feel, as soon as something goes wrong or gets missed, you feel yourself becoming more operational, because you think, if I was doing it, this wouldn't have happened. But you can't, because everyone will make mistakes and everyone will miss something. And sometimes it's just because they're really busy. And realistically, if I was really busy doing the same thing, I might miss it too. So you've just got to give people enough freedom sometimes to fail and then learn. And then you put, every time anything does go wrong, you know, something, deadline gets missed or something, you think, what processes can we put in place to make sure that doesn't happen again? But it has all become a lot more about processes. And I think the challenge we're in now, because we've got 2 vacancies at the moment, and when we recruit for those, we'll be up to 30 people. You get to a point where I'm now starting to think, as we want to continue to grow, but it's going to be a challenge to keep the culture I've been talking about and get bigger.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
So number 31, head of culture.
It is. It's important that you don't lose that. And I don't want to lose the fact that I do know everybody upstairs. I can go over and chat to them. I do know with all of them, you know, about their partner, their children, their hobbies. And I want that to stay. But obviously over time it becomes harder as you grow. But I think it's making sure you're doing, if you are doing stuff in the business, you're doing the right things. Because it is so easy just to get too controlling and untrusting of other people.
From my experience, I'm a massive control freak.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why or where that's come from. And I I love to know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Which was like massively to the detriment of like myself last year, I think. But the more I've tried to let go of different things, like I find so much like joy and happiness in somebody doing something amazing without me knowing about it, or like without me being the influence of that. Like, so you do a lot of great things. Pat does a lot of great things, which, you know, that's how I've slowly tried to like let go of like so much control and stop being such a control freak and not like need to know every single detail or need to like tell Maddie to do everything like a certain way or like.
Yeah, because just because they do a different way doesn't mean it's wrong.
Mean it's right. Yeah,
they're just different ways of doing some things. As long as you get to the right endpoint, and actually, they might have come up with a better way than you.
Yeah, and this podcast.
No one's perfect.
Like, I'm quite happy to say that. Like, this podcast is a great example, isn't it? Because we sort of started this, and like it took so much time, like the amount of time and effort that goes into it, and like now, I just sit here and talk. Basically, you know,
other people organise.
I can't really take that much credit for like things that go on now. Like Pat sets it all up. It's funny, like we were setting this all up, and I told Maddie not to touch the tripods because that's the only thing I can do now to help set up.
Yeah,
you know, like I don't know anything else.
It's interesting. I think at the last leadership day a year ago, Neil was talking to us about this curve of trust, and there's these different stages of trust going right from you're telling somebody, micromanaging and telling them what to do, to they can just go off and do what they want. And there's these different stages. And the one before you can do what you want, I've decided is the sweet spot. And that is where you give people the freedom to say, you're going to lead on this. This is your project. You involve with people if you want to. But when you've come up with the solution, just run it past me. Because then you don't feel, because I think after the first leadership day, we decided we're going to give people all these freedoms and different people will be responsible for different things, but then things just started happening. I didn't even know, and it was like, what?
Yeah,
we're just doing something completely different now. No one, I didn't even know. I wasn't even communicated with, and you're like, automatically rein back in. But I think it's a balance, isn't it? It's giving people the freedom to be creative and to make change, but just put it past me.
Still keep things in the loop.
And I think that's probably also, obviously you want to know what's going on, it's your business, your baby, but you're actually just interested as well. I'm presuming like you're actually just keen to hear the
you come up with a great new way of doing things. That's fantastic. Tell me about it.
It's like, from your experience, is that do you feel like that's happened the last year?
Definitely. I think we're in the sweet spot now, and I would agree that maybe it's just the way that it is at Concur / the way that my career's gone. I don't think I would do like a solution without telling any of the guys about it. And that's just maybe the Concur way. So I don't know whether there is another step beyond that step. So maybe we are in the sweet spot now. But yeah, I've been at Concur for over 2 years, and it's definitely a time served thing. I think it's time as well.
It's trust, isn't it? Because if you've worked with someone, you know, like one of my team managers, she's been working for Griffin for 8 years. And I know she knows how I work. I know how she works. I know she's going to do everything. You just work together a long time, and there's a lot of trust there. So I guess one thing that I'm slightly controlling about, that you could call it controlling, but my clients might appreciate it, is nothing goes out the door without me having rejected it.
Sign off,
So a set of accounts, even the smallest company, I would have reviewed it. It might have been a 5 or 10 minute review, but it would have gone past me. But with her, because she's been around for so long, we've got to the point with, there are some of the sort of smaller, straightforward things that I'll say, if you're happy, I don't need to look at it. Because that's complete faith.
Definitely.
And that's
again,
probably
time served again, isn't it?
That's probably quite unusual again in an accountancy firm. I don't remember partners reviewing sets of accounts.
Really, yeah.
But and it's building that trust. If you do it lots of times and you're not coming up with issues, then you think, okay, for this person, this manager, for this simple things, I don't need to look at it anymore.
So would I be naive to say then, and like give me honest feedback, like when Maddie says that, what she said just then, I would prefer for you to go out, do something, maybe without me knowing, potentially get it wrong, but potentially get it right at the same time.
You would prefer that?
Yeah, definitely, because then I can see, and I want to hear your point of view on this, because I want to see you do your own things and grow in your role rather than me have to be in control of that all the time and have to be the one to offer a solution. Because if I'm always the one that's offering the solution and like saying you whether you can do that or not do that, then it's just me again.
Yeah.
And you're just an extension.
And different people can bring different things to the table, can't they? They have different ideas, they think in different ways, they have different strengths.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a me thing then with the time served that I still feel like I want that
reassurance. Because I suppose your role is changing quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's partly a support thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just giving you that confidence.
Yeah.
Because, again, that's the manager I'm talking about. She'll often run things past me. I know she knows the answer, but she just wants that reassurance because she also knows how important this business is to me and wants to do things well and to do things right. And even
so it's
if
just
she's
getting the thumbs
99%
up,
confident, she still would feel better to run it past.
Yeah.
So it's giving people the confidence to create their own solutions to a problem, but then also
being supportive as well.
And
if they do, I think some of it is support rather than control.
Yeah.
It's giving people that freedom, but knowing, there are some people where I know if they're not coming to me, it means they've got everything under control. If there's anything got at all a doubt about, that's what I'd much prefer. They do come and talk to me. Whereas there are other people that I don't know if it's a male-female thing, by the way. I think females are more likely to be less confident and want to put things past you. But there's some people just, maybe they feel like they should know the answer, so they don't want to ask, so they go what they think is right, but then it might not be.
Yeah.
I'd rather they bother me more with any doubt.
Yeah.
But I do think, it's not always, but you tend to find men are more confident than women as a general rule.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And they generally just look for that reassurance.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely. But you do turn all of these things into a counselling session, don't you? You've got an impact on that. I wasn't expecting that today.
That's the businessy side, isn't it? I think we might have spoken about this, but the lonely part of entrepreneurship and sort of what you do to combat that. A lot of it is about your senior leadership team and your coaching. Like, how long did it take
recently,
for you to learn
but that's only been over the last year or so.
Yeah.
But previous to that,
how did you manage things prior?
With a lot of stress.
You didn't.
And I think also my husband's brilliant. He'll listen to me, and it doesn't matter that we work in completely different industries, because anything that's stressing me out about work won't be to do with accountancy or tax, because that's my thing. I know that. I'm good at that. It will be people.
Yeah.
So actually, it's quite good to talk to somebody completely out of the industry. So he's an amazing support. But we've only been together about 4 years. So previous to that, it was just very lonely. Very lonely.
What advice would you give to people that are sitting here in the same sort of spot then and maybe feel like they are on their own?
I think one thing I did do, which was really good, I talked about Boost, about building your personal board and your network. So your network, I think Exeter is such a nice business community to be part of. And obviously you mentioned the chamber, like the group of the sort of board on the chamber and stuff are again really, we all get on really well and a really good area of support. But over the years, I've always had what I do call my personal board. And these are people who aren't from our industry. They're other business owners or business leaders in different industries, but they're people you can go for a coffee with and have an honest chat with, put things past, and they're doing it the other way. And it's often good if they are in a different industry, like there's one person I speak to quite a lot who's a solicitor. This is perfect, because also if I've got something on a client and I'm thinking they're going to need to get legal advice on this, I can pick up the phone and say, what do you think? Do you think we need to? And they do the same with me. Got this client, got this, thinking you do it this way. Is that going to work from a tax perspective? And you can kind of support each other, but it's not just the technical, it's also just being a business leader. And having that, I've been to a couple of groups like peer-to-peer networking things. That's how I met Neil, the person who's the coach. He facilitated a peer-to-peer group before, and that was really good. It's one of these, Chatham House rules like the director's breakfast that the chamber does. You've just got business leaders in a room and you can talk honestly and openly about things going on in your business. And there's never more than one person from the same industry, which again is how director's breakfast works. So you can just be completely honest. And actually, that can be really good. On Tuesday, someone said, "Oh, this is like a counselling session coming here." The director's breakfast.
Well, you just said that about 5 minutes ago.
It's probably me.
You've got this
Maybe
impact.
it's my psychology.
Oh yeah, that is useful. That is useful stuff.
It is, yeah.
I think that's what we're sort of trying to do with the podcast, really, isn't it? Like, I think ultimately, long term, it's all about community for us, and we're quite obvious in the fact like we don't really make any money from doing this podcast like directly, that sort of thing, but we want to build a bit of a local community where we can like interact with people like yourself, other sort of people, bring them all together, build like a real good connection. And we've got some like long-term plans for the pod, haven't we, in terms of bringing people together from it, but that's where we want to go. And we've noticed from doing this podcast just how like strong the Exeter like community actually is like business wise. Because prior to doing the podcast, maybe we were a little bit, we again like very much head down, like just doing your job sort of thing. We never really, I've done loads of networking in the past, but never really did it too much like with and for Conquer, if that makes sense. And we started doing a lot more now, and there is such a community out there. So like you've just got to go looking for it, attend a few events, and like you'll be part of that community.
Absolutely.
And it will like welcome people in pretty open armed, won't it? Regardless of what it is. There's so many different clubs, and like you're the chamber, which we can talk about in a sec, but
I don't think I've been to a networking event in Exeter where I haven't I've had like a cold welcoming or it's been a bit too businessy and I didn't really feel like I made a connection. And I think that just speaks volumes because
it's Devon.
It's Devon.
I've done stuff in London and stuff before and it's very different.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think one of the criticisms sometimes of like the local networking is that it's the same faces everywhere, which I do understand, but that's also like a big strength of the local scene.
I think I've heard criticism that it can be a little bit cliquey. So for someone new coming in, it can be a little bit overwhelming because you go somewhere and everyone's chatting and knows each other. But we were all that person once.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
it's
you've got to
about
start
just
somewhere.
being willing and finding the right event for you. Because sometimes people aren't naturally super outgoing, confident people. Like to go into a networking event, particularly like a big one where you don't know anyone, just walk up to a stranger and
who
start chatting to them.
It's a big thing.
It's just awkward. And I mean, even I don't want to do that.
Just
I'm
butting
quite
on
good
a
with
conversation.
people normally.
Yeah.
You just feel a bit weird, don't you? You stand around hoping someone might talk to you. But then sometimes some of the smaller things can be better, which is like these peer-to-peer type groups, because it's just more casual, informal, relaxed.
Tell us about your chamber work and what you do there. You sort of mentioned a few bits and bobs.
Yeah, so I've been doing it for, I don't know, about 2 or 3 years, I guess. Originally on the Exeter Chamber of Commerce, they approached me because they were after a finance director. And that, I think I was really surprised what a lovely group of people that board is. And actually that, like I say, you talk about personal board, there are people, it was nice that a number of them came to that Boost event where I was doing the talk and so on, because everyone supports each other. It's really nice. So we've got obviously the Exeter Chamber, and I am very lucky to be the board member that hosts the Director's Breakfast. I love that event. It's this peer-to-peer thing that I really like. But there's also obviously loads of different opportunities. And I think it really is good how it encourages local businesses to work with each other. Most of our suppliers I've met through chamber events, I would say.
Oh, wow.
If anything, I found more suppliers than clients through it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
That works. And it's getting to know people. Whenever there's something I think, we need somebody that does that, I'll know someone, because there won't be someone I met last week. I think, there was this person that's exactly what he did. He's really good at that. I'll pick up the phone. So it is a really good opportunity to meet people. And I think the whole, it's not about hard sell on any of it. You just get to know people, chat to them about not just their business, lots of different things. And you come to trust them. And I think particularly even more so again in Devon, I think it's all about the people and feeling like you can work with a person as opposed to necessarily the more objective things that you might get elsewhere. And obviously the Chamber's gone through a big change in the last year. September last year, we merged with Plymouth Chamber and are now the Devon Chamber as one joint sort of entity. And I'm one of the 4 Exeter directors that sit on the Devon board. So kind of see it from a broader perspective as well. And it's a very interesting process that we've been through, and then combining 2 cultures and different ways of working and that sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely see big positives of being, for us as being part of the Chamber and other businesses being involved. Because again, it's this whole business community where you sort of, because if you don't know, if you're starting your business, I think when I first started Griffin, because I'd worked in very big organisations, the likes of EY, I didn't know the local business community because I was working with clients, people Wrigley's and Imerys and, big organisations that weren't part of that local business community. So I kind of had to build that from scratch, really. I think it was networking that kind of sounds horrible, doesn't it? Like a networking event, but actually, I say now, I feel like I could go into any networking event in Exeter and I'll know people. Just because, but it's forcing yourself. The bit is the hard bit. Because when you go to someone, you know someone straight away. It's easy, isn't it? You talk to someone you know, and then other people that they know, you'll introduce each other, and it becomes a bigger conversation, and it's all very nice.
You've got to start somewhere with that, though, haven't you?
And I always remember the first time I started doing any sort of networking events was at a previous firm, and I went to an event because they were telling us, you need to get out there, you need to organise these things. So I went to one. And it was just lots of like solicitors and all this. I didn't know anyone. And 2 of the partners were there and they were like, come on, you need to go. But what would have been really nice is they knew lots of people there. If they could have given me 1 or 2 introductions.
Just one introduction makes a difference, doesn't
so
it?
whenever if I go to an event where one of our managers or something is going, then I always make sure I'm aware of where they are. If they look like they're stood on their own, I'll go over and, introduce them to someone that I know. Because, or also just generally, if you see somebody stood around looking a bit uncomfortable, not knowing anyone, it's nice to, you see how much their face lights up if you go and go, oh, hello. How are you? What do you do, sort of thing? They see this relief that they've got someone to talk to.
It's like you said earlier, everybody's been that person that stood on their own, so everybody knows how they're feeling, and it does make such a difference. I remember the first network event I ever went to was actually Boost.
Oh yeah.
And funnily enough, I can't actually remember who was talking. Oh no, I can. It was a lady that did like synthetic bras for ladies that,
I think I missed that.
You missed that one, yeah. And what I loved about it, I was like really taken back by actually how many men were in the room, and I thought, that's brilliant that how many men actually want to hear this story, because I was expecting it to be kind of full of ladies, and it was just, I just thought it was really down to earth, kind of just natural, real, and then after that was my perception of networking. So I didn't really feel that nervous about it.
You might be disappointed if you went to some other events.
So thank God I went to Boost first. Do you remember your first networking?
No.
No, it's that long ago.
I just remember that awful one where I didn't know anyone, and the partners felt it wasn't the right thing to do to introduce me to people because I had to form my own network, they said.
Oh, really?
That was something they said, you need to form your own network. We're not going to introduce you to anyone.
That's brutal. That must have been one of your first, mustn't it? One of your first networking events.
That was my first networking event.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I definitely
that's intense. That's intense, isn't it?
I can't remember mine.
Can't remember yours.
No, we won't sit here thinking about it.
No.
But lots of these things are about confidence, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking all these people are just people.
Yeah.
And it's finding the right event where people are friendly. Which is why Boost's good.
That's good. It's a good bit of advice, then, isn't it? Like the Devon Chamber, it doesn't have to be just like business directors or leaders. Am I right to say there are certain events which are specific to that?
Yeah. Like Director's Breakfast, you have to be a director to go. And then there are other events which, Coffee of the City and all this sort of year-end summer bash and all that, where the idea of something like that is you take your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good part of the Devon Chamber is like such an array of businesses as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like it's one specific sector. There's obviously advantages of going to those events, but
and I think what's nice about the chamber is every event that I've been to, because there are so many different members and it is across Devon. Now, I've only ever been to Devon associated event, and there's always been different faces there.
Yeah.
So it's not the
it's quite a broad
of,
membership.
Yeah.
We've got about 800 members,
Yeah.
businesses that are members. So you're going to come across different people, especially if you go to the different events, because sometimes you'll get the same people always go to Coffee in the City, for example.
Yeah.
But if you go to different ones, you'll meet different people, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I went to one recently that was at the golf club that was Meet the Neighbour. And it was a lunch. It was a Devon organised thing rather than Exeter. So it used to be done by Plymouth. And the Meet the Neighbour was the Somerset Chamber came.
I love that.
And all their members were invited.
Yeah.
So there was, lots of people who were there were from the Somerset Chamber, not from Devon Chamber at all.
Do they still do that?
Yeah. This was only about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, right.
A month ago.
Oh, that's a good event. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that
meet the
idea.
neighbour.
Because again, like you get rid of that criticism of it's the same people at the same events.
Well, yeah.
It's not far away, is it? Somerset, Plymouth, all these areas.
Yeah, and that was held at Exeter Golf and Country Club, so it was very local for us. But it was an opportunity to meet new people, and everyone's really positive about the event. We'll definitely do more of them. So
yeah, definitely. No, that sounds great. With like business and everything, then did you always want to run your own business? Like, how did that idea come to you? Is it something you knew you'd always get there, or
no? I've always had this determination to make my own way.
Yeah,
my parents have their own business, so you could say it's in the blood.
That's where it came from. Then,
in our family, me, my husband, my son, my parents, none of us are employed. It's all doing your own thing. But I forged my own way. Obviously, I was employed for a long time. And that determination, I don't think I thought early on that I would run my own accountancy firm. That would be a strange concept.
Not when you were working in Clark's, anyway.
No, or even when I was working at EY or something, I'd kind of, it wouldn't even cross my mind.
You didn't think it would happen? You didn't think it would happen even then?
Didn't even cross my mind, no.
So what was the trigger?
There was one partner at EY that I worked with who, and he was really good. I really admired him. And I remember saying to him once on a night out, because he got involved with these nights out. He was one of the more friendly partners. Yeah. And I said, how did you become a partner at EY? And he said, I set up my own firm and they bought it.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this story is fascinating. So I was like, got him to tell me a lot around his journey and stuff. He found me annoying, but I always thought that is really impressive. And I don't know, I think it wasn't really till I was, at Bishop Fleming and thinking about, I reckon I could do this better. And there were ideas that I was coming up with, and he's just like, they'd make those decisions. Shut up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, no, I think I could do this. I think I can do it better. And I thought ultimately, I'm a qualified chartered accountant with good experience, a good CV. If I could go and give this a go and it doesn't work out, I'll easily get another job.
Yeah.
So why not?
And what was that, 2015? Right about then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I left there at the end of 2014.
Yeah.
But everyone else thought I was mental. My parents tried to put me off the idea as much as they could.
Even as business owners themselves?
Yeah, they were saying, it's too much stress, you'll make the same mistakes as us, don't do it, we regret it.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I know, but then they've got a lovely life because they run a business.
Yes. Yeah.
So, it was, it wasn't, everyone was like, wow, why would you do that? That's a huge risk. Because I think also you start in, I've got no clients, not a single client.
No.
And in our industry, you tend to have restrictive covenants for a year after you leave somewhere. So you can't.
A full year?
Yeah.
That's
so you can't take any clients with you. So you're literally, I'm an accountancy person. There's me and I have no clients.
Yeah.
What did you do then?
Networking.
You literally just went networking from day one. You went out there.
Yeah.
Spoke to people.
Yeah. And I realised obviously this isn't a full-time job. I had to quit my job because you weren't allowed to obviously set up when you're working for someone else. So obviously, one, there's no income to start with. And two, this isn't a full-time job to go networking. Some people seem to make it, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But I got a job working part-time teaching accountancy at Exeter College.
Did you?
Yeah.
How long did you do that
for? A couple
for?
of days a week. Only 4 months.
Oh, really? And then you're straight in?
And then we got a bit of a lucky break.
Okay.
So obviously, I say 4 months. I didn't start doing it till 3 months in. After 3 months, we still had no clients.
Oh, wow.
And that so many times you think, I've made a huge mistake. Everyone told me not to do this.
Yeah.
But of course, no one knows who Griffin is. No one, you need someone to take a chance on you. And once you've got one or two, it does tend to snowball, because everything around here is by word of mouth as well, I think, in our community. But one thing I worked with a lot was schools in my previous, before Griffin. And I knew everything about accounting for schools, all their processes of converting to become a new academies, which is what was happening a lot back then. But clearly I was thinking, a school isn't going to go and work. At this point, there were just 2 of us. A school isn't going to have their auditor be a 2-person team, surely. But I thought, you know what?
Turns out they did. They loved it.
I know what I'm doing. I've worked with lots of schools before. Why not? Because actually they get a really personal service, because they will be my number one priority.
Yeah.
So we sent out all these flyers to all the academies in Devon, Cornwall and Somerset. You can get a big list online. And one of them contacted us, which was a group of 7 schools. They weren't joining to become a MAT. They were independently converting. So this was 7 sets of accounts and 7 audits in Bournemouth, primary schools. And they invited us to tender, not knowing probably we were only 2 people, because we'd sent them these flyers and thought, we need an accountant. Here's one. So we went and tendered for it. And we had to go and do a tender presentation. And you're thinking, if I was doing it representing previous firms, I wouldn't be concerned. But you're thinking, they're going to ask how many people we are. They're going to ask about, and I can talk about most experience because I've had loads. Yes.
They did ask.
And they said, how many people are you? And I was like, 2, we're just recruiting a 3rd.
Love
Even
that.
though we weren't. But we would have to.
Yeah.
We would have to if we got there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And they're like, well, so how will that work? Are you the only person with an audit license? And I said, yeah. And they said, what if you get, you end up getting run over by a bus, or you end up in hospital ill or whatever? Then what happens? I was like,
good question.
I was like, I'd have to be unconscious not to sign an audit report. I reckon we'd be all right. And I walked away from that. I thought, there's no way they're going to want a bigger firm, because...
Yeah.
And we got it. Wow. 7 academy audits in one go.
Yeah.
So we actually had to take on a couple of people just to service this, which was an amazing break. And one of the guys who we did the tender presentation for, he said, I knew we were taking a risk on you, but I just felt, we're new to this academy thing. We're going to be converting from being a local authority school. We don't understand it. We don't know the process. And we just felt like you were going to give us a really good personal service. And he said, every business deserves a break at some point. And we've got faith in you, essentially. I think there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But no, we did it and we pulled it off. And of course, then when you are tendering for new academies, they want to know what clients do you. I've got 7.
Yeah.
I've got a list of 7 that we work with.
Yeah. I'm an academy specialist now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was before, but not Griffin wasn't, if you see what I'm saying. So the knowledge and everything is there. You just haven't done it under that brand. But that was a big break.
That's a nice little story, that. Yeah.
It was a really good break. Story. And, we're honest, and he could see the risk.
Yeah.
But also saw the benefits.
Did you say then like 45% of the work you do at the moment is academy? Is that
and charities.
And charities.
And those schools are still clients today.
Really?
Are they?
Yeah.
That's lovely.
That's great.
Yeah, we still do their audits.
Oh.
That's cool.
So back then, when you were working at Exeter College part-time, you didn't get the break. You've got any advice for yourself that you would like to go back in time and tell your former self?
Don't give up. There are so many days in that first 12 months, particularly the first 6 months, where you think, this isn't happening. This is pointless. I just need to go and get a job. I've got no income. I've got a family to support. I was a single mum. I was thinking, what was I thinking? This was ridiculous.
It's a pretty big jump, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think also be willing to, don't think you're above anything. That job at Exeter College, I was paid half as much as I was paid in my previous job as a senior manager.
Yeah.
That didn't matter. I just needed some income. And don't be too proud to do anything. A lot of people think, better than that. I can't do that. I can't work for that money. I was like, well, when you're a business owner, sometimes you work for nothing if your business doesn't make any money.
Are you now where, I don't know what you've done there. Are you at where you thought you'd be at now?
I never thought we'd get like this.
No.
I thought I'd be happy if we got to where we are now with 5 people, not 30.
Really? Was that was the plan, or that was the thought?
Well, yeah, it didn't even cross my mind that we could become a proper, locally well-known, established accountancy firm.
So you've just taken like day by day sort of thing, really.
And that's why I said 10 years is maybe stop and reflect and think,
yeah,
bloody hell, that's not bad.
yeah. That's mental. What are the plans? You know,
I think we want to continue growing, continue on the path we are, but make sure that we don't. There's always a risk with any business that you don't want to grow too quickly, so you lose what keeps you. So you lose the quality of service, so recruitment's really important. We're constantly recruiting as we grow, and making sure that you're not losing that quality of service, that personal touch, because as you get bigger, it's hard to keep that the same, and also not lose that culture. So like I say, for us at the moment, I feel like that's the really big thing to focus on, to make sure our growth continues, but we're still keeping our sort of USP, both in terms of an employer and in terms of the clients as well.
Yeah. What does growth look like for you? Is it like another office, or is it just slowly growing the area that you've got headcount?
I think I've been put off of the dual office.
Yeah, fair enough.
Experience. Yeah. I don't think more offices helps.
No.
Because a lot of things are done via Teams and emails, and it's not like Torquay or Plymouth is that far. Like, there's no need to have a physical office and a location as much as there used to be. And it's easier to work together as a team if you're in one place. I think we absolutely want to continue to grow. We've, over the last 5 years, we've grown between 20 and 25% a year in terms of our turnover every year. So we want to keep that pace, but it's making sure, like with any business, keeping your systems growing appropriately, recruiting appropriately, and also working on that culture. And this is where what you were saying about you can't work in the business. If I'm going to make sure all that's happening, I can't be sat there reviewing tax returns all the time.
You can't do it.
Yeah. No. So your role grows and changes and develops. But I still like to keep that client contact. I still enjoy particularly the meetings. But it just means when I go to a client meeting, I'll take the manager with me. I'll be like, do what I love doing. And then I know someone else has been there, heard it all, and I'm confident in their abilities. They'll make it happen.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're a little bit higher level, have a bit of fun sort of thing. And like nitty gritty, it sounds like, for the other person. Yeah.
But for them, it's good exposure. They're sat there, they're, you're coming up with all these ideas, and they're hearing that and they're learning from it. And, you're trusting them to deliver on it. Whereas before, a few years ago, I would have felt, particularly if it was something a bit complicated or a bit different, I'd feel I had to do it to be confident it was being done right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, definitely.
So is the plan for you to work more on the business then going forward in the next?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where the executive leadership team comes in.
And it sounds like it's like just more growth in this area for you. Keep things like tight, keep your tight team, expand your client base in this area for the time.
We know what we're good at.
Yeah.
And we want to keep doing more of the same, really. I'm not interested in travelling up to Bristol, Birmingham or London or wherever.
The majority of your clients like Exeter sort of area then, is it?
The business clients are generally at Devon. Yeah. The academy and charities, we go further afield because it's quite a specialist area.
Yeah.
So we, so I mentioned Bournemouth right at the start, but we do a lot in Somerset, Dorset and Cornwall. I think particularly Cornwall, we work with more than half the academies in Cornwall because there's not a lot of accounting firms in Cornwall. Especially with experience of doing academy schools. And it's the sort of sector, once you start working with when someone's going out to tender, because they have to go out to tender every 3 to 5 years, they say to other schools, who do you use?
You're
who do you
name,
use?
Aren't you?
Yeah,
massively. How like intentional are you in terms of like practicing what you preach? Do you know what I mean? Like with the advisory stuff, because you think, and it is probably right, but like accountancy firms, like really tip top run businesses, like in terms of like the figures and the money side of things,
going back to the controlling thing, I still do all the bookkeeping for Griffin.
Do you?
I reconcile the bank personally, That's because I want it to be right.
Yeah.
I could tell you as of today what our turnover and profit year to date is.
Mm-hmm.
It's every morning I come in and I do it.
And you know it, you see it,
I know
you live
it
and breathe it.
all over it, and I've got this beautiful cash flow forecast spreadsheet. So every time we talk about bringing in a new member of the team, I plug it in. What does it look like? Can we afford it? Great. Let's recruit someone. So yeah, that probably is one area I am quite controlling over, to be fair. Because people, like Laura always says to me, you shouldn't be doing the bookkeeping. You could get someone else to do that. Like,
it's your baby.
I'm happy doing it.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
What about all like the advisory stuff? Because is there, maybe getting a bit nitty gritty, like, is there a lot of like research and development with all like new legislation and things that you can do, or is it fairly easy to keep up to
We
date
have
with
to
that?
do CPD anyway as part of our being a ICAW member firm. So I have to do a certain amount of CPD every year, which everybody does. And part of that, you're going on annual updates of changes in accounting standards, audit regulations, tax changes. These are not fun courses, by the way. What is fun is when you've heard there's a change thinking, what does that mean for my clients? What can I do? Does it mean I can take advantage of that? Does it mean it's going to be negative?
Yeah.
Do we need to plan ahead? Because you normally hear there's a change that's going to be implemented at set date in the future. So, but yeah, we do have to obviously stay up to date with that sort of stuff. And
a lot of this stuff, you're obviously up to date with it. Also, you apply almost all of it as much as you can to your own business, I guess.
Yeah. One thing I'm always saying to people, you talked about this building and we do own this building. I always say if you're going to buy an asset, a valuable asset like a building, you don't buy it in your trading business. You always create a holding company and buy it in your holding company. That's exactly what I've done. And when I'm talking to clients, I'm suggesting this. I say, that's what we've done. The building's in the holding company. And there's lots of reasons for doing that. Partly future planning. If you were to sell the business in the future, you can retain the building and rent it out or whatever, and it can be a pension plan, essentially. So there's lots.
It's great to practice what you preach. So you can use it as a demonstration, can't you? As well?
Company cars, electric cars. I'm saying we've got 6 of them.
Or like you were saying, I can't remember if we were recording or not. It might have been off air, but like with you, what you're doing with your solar panels, that's a great example of how to save money. Like from a business point of view and from a tax point of view, get all the benefits that are afforded to you.
Absolutely.
So you put the panels on. You charge all your cars here because everybody at a certain level has got a.
The panels cost us. I think it was like 22,000 to put the panels on.
Yeah.
I'm saving £900 a month in electricity bills.
Yeah,
so it doesn't take very long, does it? Before
and everyone gets to charge their car for free in the summer when the sun's shining.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge benefit. But like, I bet you 90% of people don't know about those sort of benefits or those sort of things that you can do. Obviously, you've got to have the luxury of like being able to afford these sort of things. But there are a lot of businesses out there that probably can afford it.
But then
don't
you
know
can
what to
use
do with
things
their money.
like HP.
Yeah.
Solar panels you can buy on HP and then you're just paying for it monthly. Essentially, the same with the cars. But you still get the tax relief up front. Now talking like accountants. You get the tax relief on day one, even though you're paying for it over 5 years.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've learned a lot.
The more I learn about accountancy, the more I think I probably could have been an accountant. Because you think when you're at school, you think, numbers and all this, I've got to be good at maths. I don't want to do that. And the perception is, when I was back at school, which actually wasn't long ago, was like, accountants are all, boring people and, suit and ties and, it's very corporate, isn't it? And
a lot of it is. That's why we're trying to break the mold. We're not like that.
Yeah. Oh, right. So maybe the perception is still
right.
That.
Just not at Griffin.
It would be in a lot of places. Don't get me wrong.
But it's kind of not like that. And like the fun part of it is the advisory and learning like what sort of things you can do. Does legislation change that much where you can like offer and speak to people like about these new things that are always happening?
Well, for a start, there's a budget at least once a year, which is changing the tax laws.
Yeah.
So,
but does it change that dramatically? Because it's just more laws upon more legislation sort of thing, isn't it?
Particularly recently, because there's been a change of government, you do then get quite a lot of changes. There's been a lot that's gone negatively for businesses recently. So it's thinking of ways to manage that, to do things. A couple of recent changes that have come up where we kind of proactively contacted clients. So, for example, double cab pickups used to be treated as a van for tax purposes up until the end of March this year. Now they're treated as a car, so you can't claim the VAT back, and you have to pay massive benefit in kind costs. But they announced it like 6 months before. So we're saying to any of our clients that work in an industry where double cab pickups are quite popular, if you're thinking of buying any in the next 12 months, get them now.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Because if you'd already bought it, if you already owned it at the end of March, you could stay on the old rules for about 4 or 5 years.
Really?
So it was just timing.
Yeah.
And you'd save a lot of money.
Percentages.
You'd save a lot of money on having bought it in March compared to April.
And that's the benefit of working with an accountant that actually understands what they're doing, because like then you were about to say, oh, there's no point buying one, weren't you? Because of the legislation, but actually you can, just you need to do it in the right time frame.
Yeah. There's normally a solution to most problems. And an idea that I came up with, because I know we do it a lot to help the chamber, for example, because when the employer's national insurance obviously went up loads this year, a lot of budgets are hit. The chamber employed 10 people. Their budget was hit in terms of the employer's NI. And I said, well, we've got a finance assistant that's doing an AAT, which is a accountancy qualification. You can do that on an apprenticeship. And because she's under 25, if you put them on an apprenticeship, you don't pay employer's national insurance for that person. We suddenly say employer's national insurance for one person.
Wow.
Just by turning her qualification, which she's doing anyway, into an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
That's little things like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know.
But if you don't know, you don't know.
No, exactly.
You're now thinking, who can you put on an apprenticeship?
Yeah. Maddie.
That's it.
Apprenticeships go right up to level 7 apprenticeships. Like we do the ACA on an apprenticeship to be a chartered accountant. So anyone we've got studying on either AAT, if they're a school leaver, they're on an apprenticeship, and then grads go on an apprenticeship on level 7.
Yeah.
Or people that done their AAT are carrying on. So it's not like, I think people thought apprenticeships were like for very junior roles or for very like more manual, like to be a trade or something like that. But there's lots out there.
So if like a new government came in, like a reform or, someone like that who was going to change a lot of like the tax legislation, stuff like that, is that an exciting prospect for you, or is that a difficult prospect?
No, it's exciting because I was thinking, okay, what's changing? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Are there bad things that are happening that I can make less bad, or are there good things that are happening that we can take advantage of?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about it for Griffin as well as for my clients.
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah,
that's what's even more exciting.
You've got a great position to be in. Yeah. Well, maybe it'll happen.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Don't know.
Well, Misty, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We've ticked so many boxes there. I've had a great time. Have you had a good time?
Yeah.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, that's it.
I've learned so much. I feel like I'm going to open my business.
Thank you very much. We'll leave it there. Done.
Thank you.
Good.